welcome back. It's me back outside in my lovely swing. And about a million years ago, okay, it was 4 months, the lovely Alex Black tagged me in a tag, and I've already forgotten what it's called, Personal Rules for Reading. I mean, it will be in the video title. Finally getting around to filming it, and I can't remember why. I think I had in mind that I had to do some prep for it, but there's nothing prep in the questions, so I don't know. So anyway, there will be in mind. Okay, so number 1, do you strive to read every day? Yes, I do, because it makes me happier. Do I do anything different to make time? Well, I have an ebook on the go almost all the time. At the moment, that's mostly library book. My boyfriend mostly reads ebooks, so if he's recommended something to me, then I've got his Kindle count on my phone and my Kindle count on my Kindle. So so I've normally got my phone with me. I've normally got a book in the car. I haven't at the moment because I just finished it, and I just like read. And if I get to the end of the day and I haven't, then I like to come outside, sit down, get some fresh air, get some daylight, and read a book. So yeah, just squeezing it in as and when, really. So do I always stay within favourite genres? My favourite genres are sci-fi, fantasy, crime, but no, not at all. The only thing, I don't like to read a lot of romance, but even then I will read some romance sometimes and I will enjoy it sometimes. So no, not really. Do I DNF? Yes, I do. When I was a teenager, when I was much younger, I absolutely did not DNF. And I spent years trying to finish Crime and Punishment, and I resent that. Like, I will never get that time back spent reading the book. Do you know, I've reread Watership Down 3 times because the ending is so satisfying that I'm just like, oh, I didn't finish that, I must go back and read it. Well, no, I didn't like it. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't doing any good for me. I didn't need to read it for any particular. So no, just let that go. And the most recent book I DNF'd was Revenge of Seven by Pittacus Law. I loved this series when they were first coming out. They're sort of middle grade alien fantasy books, but I just lost interest in between the last one and this one coming out, and then I just saw it and was like, oh yeah, I just like those, I'll give it a go. I've just moved on. It just happened, and it really didn't seem worth my time to finish it when I wasn't feeling it, and I didn't think I'd ever feel it, so I took it past on someone who would. Number 4, do you like to read challenging books? It kind of depends what a challenging book is. Is it a really thinky book? Is it a book that will cause me to rethink my ideals? In which case, yeah, I guess I like this. Is it a book which is pointlessly tough to slough through because it's not where my part's at? No, I don't like that. But I'm thinking this is more like it's going to challenge my beliefs, it's going to challenge my preconceptions, and yeah, I like that. And then so those were the 4 with the original questions, and then it's an open source it's an open source one, so there's another question gets added as you go through. So question 5 from Greg. I don't know who any of these people are, by the way. Do you read banned books? I guess I read banned books. I don't pay attention to which books are banned and which books aren't, so I don't deliberately seek them out, but I don't avoid them because there's so many. Like the Bible's banned. I go to church quite a lot, so yeah, obviously. Number 6, Criminology's question. Do you read books by authors whose views you disagree with? Now this is an interesting question, because what does views you disagree with mean? Do I like pineapple on my pizza? Yes. Would I read a book by an author who doesn't? Yes. There's sort of ways and means. If there's someone whose views I really, really intensely dislike or disagree with, I probably wouldn't pick up a new one. Like, there's no way I'm picking up any of the Robert Galbraiths, but I'll probably reread Harry Potter. So yes, I do, and that's quite odious. Actually, that's a really good example of an odious opinion, isn't it? I won't be suggesting it to my youngest, but my older children read it. So yes, I would. I've got 2 questions here. Questions from Steve Donahue. Question 7, do I clear my mind of bias before reading the book? That's an interesting question, because I was going to say I usually don't have an appropriate bias going into the book. But, I mean, I am who I am. I've got my politics and my religion and my personal things, my personal priorities isn't the word, my personal morality. I've got those things going in. But I disapprove of racism, I disapprove of gender, like all of those things are going to be my biases, but also the way I live my life and the way I've been influenced, they're all part of who I am. And no, I don't deliberately sit and meditate or something, clear my mind, or to be like, but I do generally go in with an open mind, not being all like, oh, I'm going to hate this book because, I don't know why I may hate a book, prejudged, but I don't try to prejudge the book, but I don't try and clear my mind of all my previous bias and experience and personality. And the other question I'm guessing that goes with, do you read books by authors whose views you disagree with? Oh, there is one thing. At one stage, I said to my husband, I don't read books by men, you know that. And he was like, I did know that. I didn't know you didn't know that. You knew that though. So I'd spent like 2 or 3 years only reading books by women. And there was surprising backlash to that, actually, when I mentioned it. Like, I went into this book club, so the only books I read by men over that time were the book club books, and I hated all the book club books, but that's another question. And people were like, but you're missing out on so many good books. And I was like, yeah, but I cannot read all the good books. I just can't do it. That is not something I'm ever going to have time in my lifetime to do. So I'm going to have to pick and choose somehow, and this is as good a way as any. What would I miss out on if I was reading that other book that you think is more worthy because it was written by a man? Yeah. It's a silly reason, isn't it? Yeah, choosing based on gender is a silly reason, and it was, but it was just a pick. Okay. And Steve Donahue's other question was, do you recommend books, and what form do those recommendations take? So yes, I do. Obviously sometimes I come on here and I'm like, oh, I read this brilliant book and you're gonna love it. Sometimes I buy books as presents, and sometimes they're books I haven't read, but often they're books that I have read and I think someone will like. So I'm intending to give my husband, who I hope isn't watching this, skip now, my darling, but I'm hoping to give him Thistlefoot for Pesach, because I think I have just finished it and I think he will love it. And sometimes I write Facebook posts or social media posts, or we're just talking to friends and something comes up, which brings me into Bill's question, what was the last book you recommended and why, and do people come to you for X? So it was The Crossing Places by Ellie Griffiths, and this is because I was on a walk with 2 friends, and one of my friends and I had read the books and the other had not, so we were like recommending them to her because we both really love them. They're very atmospheric, very eerie, very creepy crime. So yeah, if that sounds like your thing, Ellie Griffiths and The Crossing Places, and they're set in Norfolk. So this was actually a recommendation to me from my boyfriend's father, who comes from Norfolk. So yeah. 10, Bill also asked what book I've had the most success recommending. I'm not quite sure how to answer this question, but I think it's probably Shadow and Bone, because I recommended it to my husband and he absolutely loved it, and he's gone away and read everything else she's ever written and watching the TV series, and he absolutely loves it. So that's what I'm going to say. Okay, Micah Cummins says, do I take notes or annotate books? No, I don't. James Holder says, how many books are in your personal library? Which I think is a bit of a rude question, really. And how do I organise them? Well, I've got my cookbooks in one section, except all my favourite cookbooks are still in a box from the move 2 years ago. I don't know how. I've got children's books on a wall in the living room, with YA and older children at the top and younger children at the bottom, so the little one can just grab what she wants. And then the rest of them, it's not perfect, but the books I think other people in the family might live are in the bookshelf in the living room. The rest of the books are mine and my husband's mixed together in alphabetical order in our bedroom. We don't separate fiction and non-fiction. We don't separate his books and mine. We don't, yeah, which really shocked some people when we got married. They were like, yeah, sure, you get married, that's fine, but you mix your book collection? That is serious commitment. Like, dude, yeah, whatever. Okay, the next question is from Jim. Do you read books in languages other than your own? I have done. I will do again. I've got a French book on my TBR, physical TBR pile, which I'm excited to get to eventually. It does depend on where my headspace is at, and I guess that's back to the do I read challenging books? Yes, I do. Yes, I do like to read sometimes books in foreign languages, but I don't speak any of foreign languages fluently. So there are languages I can read, but with difficulty. No, there aren't. There are languages other than English that I can read with difficulty, but they are with difficulty, so they are quite slow for me, and I do like to space them out quite a lot. And the last question I've been given is, do you read one book or multiple? And I read multiple books. I've got 5 on the go at the moment. So my audiologist said have an audiobook, so I try and listen to an audiobook. Theoretically I'm meant to listen to it 15 minutes a day. I don't, but I listen to it in bigger chunks less often. I find audiobooks really difficult because I've got an audio processing disorder, which is why I'm meant to listen to them to make my easier. I tend to have an ebook and a physical book. This used to be an upstairs book and a downstairs book, but they kind of melded into physical and ebook. Sometimes I've got an extra physical book in the car. I don't at the moment, so I've got audiobook, ebook, physical book. I've got the book I'm in the middle of reading that I put down somewhere and I don't know where it is, and I've got a long thinky book which I'm reading a chapter at a time, which is I can't remember what it's called. Which is a book a friend of mine who's a professor of classics published, and so obviously it's way above my level, but I'm like trying to read it because it's super fascinating. Okay, so my own question, so the one I thought was in here and isn't, was what accompaniments do you like to sit with? Like, what things do you like? So I like to have a cup of tea or coffee basically at all times. I've got tea. I don't know why I'm showing you my tea. You know what tea looks like. My Octonauts mug, which was a present. I like my reading nook because it's easier to get. It's like waterproof and easy to get things. And I've got my lovely rainbow bunting. Micah! I like my dog. She likes to give me a cuddle. And often when I sit down, we all do this in our house, I sit with a blanket. So I've got my lovely 6 Pins and Cranes blanket, and I've got a nice on my bed, I'll prop myself, if I'm reading in bed I'll prop myself up with it, and I've got at the moment it's got a Fairy Loot pillowcase on it, so I've got a nice big. So yeah, so that's my next question, is what stuff do you like to use when you're reading? I'm not going to tag anyone because I've lost track of who's doing what, who's doing where, but I really appreciate Alex tagging me, even though it took me so long. And if you do it, can you pop a link below so that I can go and read yours? And I'm hoping to watch a few more videos, film a few more videos, and yeah, next month is Aurelian, so I'll be back soon with my TBR for that. Okay, have a lovely spring.